And welcome to this Wednesday episode of DB2. As always, Wednesdays we're going to go game by game for the upcoming week, week 10. Always say it, feels like it's flying by. David Brem here with Daniel Butler as always. Butler, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We have week 10 here, so we're gonna go through all the games. Which we have 4 teams on bye, so that means there's 28 teams playing. If I do my math correct, that's 14 games that we will be talking about in today's video. Does the math check out?
I'm going to trust you on that one.
The Bears, the Bengals, the Giants, and the Texans.
So are you telling me I can't talk about Jamar Chase? Because
So obviously, with Houston being out, you're going to be out a lot of players this week.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to begin with America's favorite game, the top 10. I'm going to go through the top 10 from this past week, which is always fun. So I have it here. So this is just from the past week. Looking at quarterbacks, it's always fun to see like some weird names. So we have Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, both were absolute studs. Even Matt Ryan, just a little behind. Those three were so far ahead. And then you have Josh Johnson of the Jets, quarterback 4.
Yeah.
Everybody predicted that. If you played Josh Johnson in your fantasy league, assuming that Mike White would get injured and then that he would be a top 5 quarterback, well done. Carson Wentz continues to be impressive. Teddy Bridgewater. There's a pretty big drop off to these guys, but Teddy Bridgewater, Kirk Cousins, 7, Jimmy Garoppolo, 8, Dak Prescott, 9, and Justin Fields, top 10. First top 10. Finally, I mean, this was a really good game by Justin Fields. Anybody any names besides? I mean, I guess it's Justin Fields. Josh Johnson, obviously, that happened last Thursday. So, but like Justin Fields, I think is the big name there. That like he looked like he actually he had a really solid game, and honestly should have won that game if they didn't play. They played the refs and the Steelers in that game, so it was pretty tough to beat both of them. So
yeah, I do want to point out that once again Kirk Cousins was on that list.
Continues to be solid with 21 plus points in this game. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield.
Not a crazy week for quarterbacks.
Yeah, really across the board, you'll notice that I was going to talk about that here.
Everybody, yeah.
Baker Mayfield just missing out top 10, but played really well. Just not a great fantasy quarterback. Running back, there is a huge drop off from. I mean, there's only 5 running backs that had over 20 points, and one of them did it twice. They had over 40. James Conner, and then which insane, and then Jonathan Taylor. 34. Nick Chubb with 30. We'll talk about that situation here soon. Joe Mixon with 4 had a really good game. And then a huge drop off to Nyheim Hines, who actually 20.8. I said 5. It's actually 6 running backs. Kamara just barely over 20, 20.4. And then Cordell Patterson continues to be amazing. Melvin Gordon, Najee Harris, Devontae Freeman. The Ravens. It's only 16 points, so it's actually not even that much, but he actually cracked the top 10. It is kind of crazy that 16 points gave you top 10 running back.
Like, there's a lot of weeks I bet that 16 probably wouldn't crack top 20.
Yeah, so it's pretty wild. Wide receivers, same old song. Only 8 receivers in the top over 20 points. So again, and no crazy performances. Elijah Moore, the Jets. We know Josh Johnson had a crazy good game. He actually was wide receiver 1 with 27 points. Honestly, it's not even like it's a great game, obviously, but it's not like that's never like wide receiver 1 generally. Devontae Smith had a huge day. Keenan Allen, I see him number 3. Olamide Zaccheaus, we talked a little bit about him yesterday. A couple touchdowns is why he's up there. Darnell Mooney, number 5, tied with Hollywood Brown. Cooper Kupp at 7. Malik Turner of Dallas, that's the receiver you thought would be top 10. He's number 8. And then Brandon Ayuk, good to see him. Had a really nice game.
Up there, yeah.
And then Tim Patrick also had a really nice day for the Broncos. Hunter Renfrow and Michael Pittman just missing out. Robert Woods there too. So some really interesting names. Some names that don't mean anything, like Olamide Zaccheaus, but also names like, and Malik Turner probably, but Brandon Ayuk, that probably is really important. I mean, Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Could be named now that you might put in your lineup. So a couple guys that and Elijah Moore even for the Jets, maybe you might. So there's some guys that you might be putting in your lineup now based on that. Some of those guys you don't really care about. You're not going to pick up anyways.
No. We touched on, I think we've said pretty blatantly that like we weren't super high on Eagles wide receivers, but nice to see a good game from him. And he's had a couple like borderline. He had another borderline top 10 game too, so he's
Yeah,
got it in
it's
him.
tough. They don't have a great wide receiver core, and also Jalen Hurts is not a great quarterback when it comes
Passer,
to
yeah,
passing. Like he's not a good passer. Like at this point in his career, he's a good fantasy quarterback, but that doesn't mean he's a good NFL quarterback. And then tight end, we actually got the number one tight end on Monday night. Fryermuth with a couple touchdowns. Really, really nice. Looked good. Tight end one. George Kittle coming back, and man, it looked like he never left. He looked so
yeah.
good. Travis Kelce, obviously, he's always up there at 3. Darren Waller 4. No, besides Fryermuth, then it's all the studs. Cole Kmet, I've been talking to him up a lot, saying I think big things when Justin Fields goes, Cole Kmet's going to start going, and we might start seeing that. Steven Anderson of the Chargers. This is what I thought was interesting. The Chargers have 3 tight ends in the top 11. Steven Anderson at 6.
Yeah, of course.
Donald Parham at 7, and then Jared Cook at 11.
Yeah.
You also have Jeff Swaim of Tennessee at tied for 7th. Evan Ingram and Ryan Griffin of the Jets. The Jets and the Giants there. Rounding out, they were both tied for 9th. Jared Cook just missing out top 10. Tyler Higbee 12. Dan Arnold of Jacksonville, like him as well. We'll talk about these guys when we go in there, but I think really the surprise here was, well, one, all the Chargers, but I think the one that actually means something is Fryermuth now, you're probably feeling pretty good about that. But
I think we brought him up once, but not a
George Kittle,
huge
you were
name.
still starting, but it's good to see he looks really, really, really good.
Go ahead.
And
you can talk while I'm calling. It's not everything.
Cole Kmet, that one I think. So there's a couple names that I think actually again means something. Probably a lot of those Chargers, some of those guys you don't really play anyway. But Cole Kmet could have a nice second half of the season.
Yeah.
And Fryermuth, obviously having a really nice day. And Kittle, like I said, you were starting, but it's good to see him look.
It was nice
great.
to see him come out that hot, for sure. Like, he wasn't a guy you can bench. And we'll get to his game, but like, he wasn't a guy you could bench, but it was nice to see him actually come out and perform to what you expected right away.
Yeah, so those are the top 10. I don't usually ever go through kicker and defenses because who cares?
It's because I told you if you
kickers?
talk about kickers, I'm quitting the show.
Greg Zerloin had a big fat 0 for my wife, and she's pretty sour about that. So unfortunately,
Yeah,
I
well,
think
that's what kickers will do to you.
he tested positive for COVID, so dropping him anyway. But hopefully,
it's a good thing to know though, because I bet he's just people don't really look at their kickers. Make sure you check that.
Yep, of course.
In
Though
fact,
it wouldn't
I think
matter
I might have him
this past week because he still gave you 0.
I know, but like in the next week.
So I guess we'll go ahead and get into now. So some interesting names. Always think that's fun to go through. The Thursday night football game. We got the Ravens against the Dolphins. I guess I'll let you. The Ravens begin with the Ravens. What do you think about Lamar Jackson? Do you think Lamar Jackson is a good quarterback?
Yeah, it continues just to tear it up. I mean, he's got a couple. He's been going a little bit back and forth between like being a top 3 guy and then being like in the top 20s, but toward the end. But this is 2 weeks. He had a bye week, but week 7 he was 7th. Second overall on the season. I mean, he gives you so much on the ground. Still gives you a decent day through the air, at least in this last one. I mean, 266 and 3 touchdowns. You don't like the 2 interceptions, but that's not a bad day for a quarterback in general. But then gives you 120 yards on the ground is a huge boom for you. So obviously one of the studs at the quarterback position. Freeman, we talked about him, top 10 performance. Seems to kind of be the go-to. He seems to be the one most performing in that lineup. The big thing was Williams didn't get I don't think he got a touch. I know he didn't do anything, but I don't think he even got a touch in this game. He was on the team. He was on the sideline. So this wasn't a situation where he was hurt. He just doesn't look like he's going to be involved. So if you are holding on to him, I don't think many people are, but if you are holding on to him, hoping he might get his job back, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Hollywood continues to really be the only wide receiver that's relevant, and Andrews has a down day, but still one of the best tight ends in the league fantasy-wise.
Yeah, Andrews obviously still, he's currently tight end 2, I think, on the year. Yeah. So, Lamar, I think, is the MVP. I think, obviously, people make the case for Brady, which I think that's fair, but, like, I think it's Lamar, based on what he's doing. But
if you were voting right now,
yeah, Lamar's my MVP right now. He's incredible, and for fantasy purposes, you draft him at quarterback 4. He's currently 2, and I don't know who's ahead of him? Josh Allen, I think.
I think
No,
so.
Tom
Yeah.
Brady. Tom Brady is one after this week. Tom Brady is one.
Oh yeah.
But if you were doing rest of season rankings, I think it's Lamar Jackson for fantasy is the number one quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think you can make the case then for Brady or Josh Allen, but I think those are 2 and 3. And then Kyler, your Kylers, I guess it depends on how you feel about Herbert. Herbert's been good. Mahomes, if you think he's going to figure this out. But it's weird that Mahomes, I'm not even sure he's top 5 anymore after, just hasn't looked like Mahomes. So that's kind of interesting, but we'll talk about that soon. But yeah, he's number one guy. Hollywood Brown has been incredible. The few weeks he hasn't been good, I've talked about it. Like he's could have had a great game like every week.
Yeah.
And he's had a great game almost every week. Currently wide receiver 6, which is insane. And Freeman's the guy you want to know. What you want to own. I will say, Rashad Bateman, 5 for 52 on 8 targets. Really interesting play. He's the number two I should say number 3. Let's just say number 3 option because Mark Andrews. But number 3 offense in their receiving game. So Bateman is to me a really interesting name. And I don't know if Sammy Watkins would back in this game, but I still think Bateman will probably be a focal point for them. I know it seems like they want to get him involved, and so I'm high on him. Maybe not rest of season for this year. Yeah, obviously in deeper leagues, there's a chance you're playing him, but I think in the future, I think they're in pretty good hands here. This Baltimore offense.
Yeah, agree. Other side, Dolphins. Tua didn't play this game. It was a Brissett game, so didn't learn much there. Tua, a guy we've talked about that I think we're a little bit higher than most people going forward on him. At least I am. Gaskin had a nice day, just outside the top 10. We talked about him at 12. In a episode that you'll never see because of bad timing, we talked a lot about Waddle and Parker. Parker went on the IR, but Waddle did have a nice game sitting there at 17. So kind of nothing's super special coming out of them. But I think if Tua plays, he's a possibly. If you're in a spot at quarterback, if you don't have like an everyday guy, he's a guy that you can throw in there and feel okay about. Gaskin is starting in pretty much every league. And I think Waddle's getting to that point where he's probably being started in almost every league.
Yeah, he's probably 20 to 25, somewhere in that rankings.
Somewhere in that range.
And I say rest of season, he's probably top 25 rest of season with all, even with, just looking at, if you ranked all the wide receivers, I would say he's probably maybe 25 around there.
I get scared about doing that now because I say a number and then we look at the list and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I was actually looking at a list here and guys that he would be around is someone like T. Higgins, Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
Brandon Cook sort of territory, and I think he's right about where he is.
I think that's about there, yeah.
I would say about 25. But yeah, he's the number one guy. We talked about this last week, but yeah, you never saw it because I wasn't about to put a video up that said, "Hey, Devontae Parker is kind of good."
I think I went pretty hard on Devontae Parker. Like I was super excited about him.
But yeah, Yasicki at tight end is fine. Yeah. If you got him, you start him.
He's at that low end of like I feel okay about putting him.
Obviously with Tua, just make sure if he's
playing.
He's playing, and there's a good chance you have better options this week. Not that you're scared of Baltimore's offense, but banged up and his finger. I don't know exactly if he can't make all the throws, which is why I didn't play this game. They probably will go Brissett, but just if you're kind of on the edge, like I don't know, I might roll with somebody else that's kind of in that same territory as opposed to roll with Tua, just because.
Well, and especially this week, there's only we talked about it a little bit yesterday. There's only really one quarterback that's even a possibility of a guy you're starting out this week. So hopefully you're not in a position where you're trying to stream quarterback this week.
Yeah.
First game on Sunday, we got the Saints and the Titans. Got an answer to the Saints quarterback question, which was nice. Simeon had not a bad day, top 15 day. I mean, nothing crazy. You're not super excited about him, but it looked nice. It looked serviceable to help you out. I would say help you out with like the wide receivers, which two of them had a pretty decent day in the low 20s. Still not guys I'm putting out there if I can avoid it at all. It seems like this is just going to continue to be Kamara, and that's it as far as for what we do.
Yeah, Ingram, I'm actually kind of I'm interested in, obviously in much deeper leagues, but I am shocked, I guess, is even better word is what I was going for, that Ingram is actually quite involved. I actually was expecting, a lot of people are like, it doesn't matter, like Kamara is still going to be, and he's still obviously the guy, but Ingram getting 9 carries in this game. He also had 5 catches. They were all small catches, but had a really solid game. I'm not expecting 5 catches every week for Ingram, but playing somewhere between 30 to 40% of the snaps, like I mean it's obviously in a deeper league because Kamara's the guy, but Ingram would be he's going to get in the end zone some weeks as well. So I wish that Taysom Hill would be named the starter. I think that's way more interesting.
It's
But
definitely more interesting. Yeah.
Simeon was okay, I guess. Probably not bad enough to give Taysom Hill the job, but maybe we'll hear about it. Because if Taysom Hill gets named the starter, he's an instant like over all of these guys that we'll probably talk about like as a streaming or as a if he was named the starter, like he's
a lot of upside.
Yeah, he's with the rushing and everything. Like he is the number one quarterback streamer for won't even be a streamer once he'll be your quarterback maybe for the rest of the season. If you're like in that you don't have like a top 12 guy and you're kind of just trying to pick somebody up every week, trying to play whoever, you would have a guy if Taysom was named the starter.
Yeah.
Wide receiver. I was gonna say wide receivers is kind of a wasteland.
Just stay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, like I said, they had decent days, but don't get sucked in. On the Titans, Tannehill had kind of a Tannehill day right there around 15. Kind of where you expect him to end up. The running back situation, at least points wise, was about even for the two guys that we expected. Nobody really. Peterson got more touches than anybody, and also got in the end zone, so that made him the de facto number one in points. But it seems maybe even a little bit closer than we thought. I mean, he only had a third of the snaps. So I expect that to go up. This was his first week with the team. I expect that to go up going forward, but I don't think he's as much of a. I think there's a lot of people that thought it's Adrian Peterson. He's going to get the job, and he's going to immediately be a guy you want to put in there. And I just don't know. I don't know going forward. I'm going to have to see something work itself out before I want to put either one of these guys in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think McNichols probably got the most snaps he's probably going to get. Like, he's at 45%. They probably not going to give him too many more rushes. He had 7 this week, 3 catches as well. I think, he'll probably have much better days. But yeah.
They had 3 running backs over 20% of the snaps. Like, nobody really...
and I kind of feel like Foreman... I feel like his snaps will probably go to Peterson, so I kind of feel like Peterson will probably get to 55% maybe, and then those carries as well. Peterson had 10, maybe he gets 15. He didn't do anything with the 10 carries; he did get in the end zone. So I mean, he still had a touchdown and was still like running back 35 or so. So if I got that number right, I'm not sure. So I'm not sure because he had 8? I don't know. 8.9. Maybe he was higher than that. That's what I have there. But yeah, he didn't have a great day either way. Even getting in the end zone, basically did nothing else. Yeah. So, but this game against the Rams was a complete blowout, and even with not being too successful running the ball, averaging less than 3 yards a carry. So, this game here against the Saints, I would expect, though I didn't expect a blowout against the Rams, I would expect this game probably to be a lot closer, and we'll get more of an idea what this will look like. Yeah.
And then wide receiver wise, AJ Brown, not a great day. Coming off being number 1 wide receiver in week 8. He's still a guy. I mean, he's moving it was a bad week, but I still think he's on the uptick for what he kind of did at the beginning of the season.
11 targets, 5 for 42. I wouldn't be surprised if this is his worst game the rest of the season. Like I feel like he's just a complete stud.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Bills Jets. Not a great day for Josh Allen. I'm not too worried about it. He's number 3 on the season, he's had 3 weeks around that 20 mark and still is number 3 on the season. That tells you how good he's been kind of all year. Singletary cracked the top 20, which is nice. Diggs continues to be a guy that, while not living up to where you drafted him, a guy you're putting out there every week. And Beasley and Sanders continue just to be kind of neck and neck. We've both kind of said who we like more, but it really seems like they're just going to be back and forth probably the rest of the season, kind of a dead heat.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this is weird. Beasley had 8 catches, but only 33 yards.
Yeah,
which is quite impressive. With only averaging 4 yards a catch. But Yeah, Singletary. Moss, I think, maybe got banged up in this game. He only had 28% of snaps, so I'm thinking that's what happened there. But Singletary wasn't really great with his carry. They only had 9 carries between the two of them. So again, another game, weird game
There's
against
like no
Jacksonville.
scoring. Yeah.
I don't really know what happened in this game. Besides, yeah, they only ran them and they passed it 47 times. So I don't really know about the game plan here. Obviously, I'm sure that they've discussed and they'll fix some things that happened.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jacksonville played really well. You got to give their defense credit, but Diggs is great. He's not wide receiver 3 great, but he's still great. You got to play him. Yeah, and I think if you've been rolling out Beasley or Sanders, like you almost, I mean, at this point they've pretty much said they're like, based on the last 3 weeks. Based on the last 3 weeks they've played. Both of them will play because maybe one of them missed a game or two. But yeah, they've been top 30 guys. So pretty much every week. So I feel like if you've been rolling with them now, they've both been, in some weeks they've been even way better than that. So both have been really good. And Diggs obviously is Diggs. So
Knox didn't play, but a name that's definitely up there in the tight end conversation. On the other side, the Jets, who it looks like White will probably be back this week. If not, Wilson also could be healthy. Like, it's a weird situation. Like, I think it's obvious what they should do. They should throw White out there if he's healthy and make him the quarterback, but you don't really know if that's what they're going to do. They've got a decent amount invested in Wilson, obviously, and they think he's the future, but that is kind of up in the air. But I think if they announce that White is healthy and White is the starter, he's a guy you could justifiably stream in. So, being the third best quarterback last week, was on a nice pace until he got hurt this week. So we'll see what happens there. Running back wise, Carter didn't have his best day, but still a guy that's starting in pretty much every league. And Moore obviously had the heck of a day being the number 1 quarterback. So
wide receiver, but yeah.
Our wide receiver. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, so Moore obviously had a heck of a day. Could be on the uptick. Honestly, though, if they bring Wilson back, I'm not even considering Moore anymore. Like, we've seen this offense, and it's so much better with the other guys in there that I think if Wilson plays, I don't know that you can start Moore.
Yeah, I don't really think you're probably starting any of these guys, the wide receivers, this week. This is a really obviously tough defense.
It is a tough defense.
So you don't really love this week for any of the quarterbacks, whoever's playing, or the wide receivers. I actually wanted to see if I could about the best Jets receiver, and I was going to say I doubt they're even top 30. And I think right now Corey Davis is ranked the highest, unless I'm missing,
he's just
37.
Yeah.
Going
into this week.
Yeah, going into this week. And Elijah Moore is right there as well. So you don't really like any of these guys.
Yeah, it's a bad week.
A deeper league, obviously, I would say Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, both plays, depending on your team. But Michael Carter, you don't love obviously this defense, but you probably have to roll him out there. Ty Johnson, there's a good chance he's been top 25 the last 3 weeks. Didn't really the big thing was getting in the end zone. 2 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown. Only had the 4 carries. Michael Carter 13. But yeah, Ty Johnson, and it's so weird that this Jets offense, but the running backs both are probably the most interesting this week, I think. So those are the guys.
I would probably very much try to avoid Ty Johnson if you can this week. It feels like a game where maybe Carter will be able to pull out some points, but I don't see 2 running backs having decent value. We'll just have to see.
We don't. Again, we don't know how much they'll pass, and I think, Ty Johnson obviously isn't a great.
I think there's a decent chance Buffalo goes on a tear quick.
Ty Johnson is probably top 40-ish. He's pretty far down there. I would say, and Michael Carter is borderline top 20. So. I was looking at ESPN where they have Michael Carter at 17. So, he's right there. You're probably starting him if you have to. And Ty Johnson in a deeper league, you may have to. But outside of that, you wouldn't want to touch him this week.
Yeah. And here's the thing. My thing is I think they're going to throw a lot because I think Buffalo's going to come in.
But Ty Johnson is quite involved in the passing game.
No, I agree. But, I just think Buffalo's going to come in angry after last week and try to just...
They are a 13-point favorite in this game, so we'll see if
that's a lot of points, but for an NFL team. But I think I think they could go on a big tear. It's either going to be another close one, and this is just what happens now, but I think they're going to go on a tear. Next up, we got Lions Steelers. Lions, we got a well rested Jared Goff, so that should be good. We should get to see a lot out of him.
I know what you're thinking. You're probably disappointed that Jared Goff was on bye last week, but he's actually been on bye the first 9 weeks, so that's no surprise.
He has like 2 top 10 weeks, so why don't you calm down? Granted, it was week 1 and 2, but I really wish that would have kept up. I wish he just had a great season, and because you would have still said the same thing regardless of what.
If you watched week 1, if you remember, that was that game where they came way back and all the garbage time. I mean, it wasn't even garbage time because they almost made a full comeback.
But... Hey, he's outplaying his ADP. Not hard to do when your ADP is 32. So, honestly, we've talked about this team a ton. You want to start Swift, you want to start Hawkinson, and that's where it stops.
Jamal Williams in another deeper league. He's probably kind of
a deeper league,
Ty Johnson is, honestly. He hasn't really done much for a while, but I would kind of put him in that same breath. He'll, get a decent amount of snaps that could make it, kind of intriguing. Definitely could, break some plays. He's a part of the receiving game, so I would say he's borderline top. He's around top 40 as well. Maybe I'd probably play him a little bit. I would put him over Ty Johnson this week. Generally, sure. I would have Ty Johnson over him slightly. So it's Ty Johnson is definitely, because of his matchup, is hurting him. This matchup against the Steelers doesn't really scare me, so I would put a nice top 35-ish for Jamal Williams this week. And Hawkinson is very good, so play him.
He's he's got that stud quarterback thrown to him. So, Steelers, irrelevant at quarterback. I you know what, that sounded way meaner than I meant. He just isn't it just isn't something you think about in fantasy. You're not starting Ben Roethlisberger. You're just not. So Harris though continues. I mean, all he does is score in the top 10. That's all he does. Yeah. You could pretty much pen it in. I usually say pencil, but you need to pen this one because it's permanent. He's getting in the top 10 every week. So you can't ask for anything else from the guy. Johnson continues to be a guy you want to put out there right outside the top 20. We kind of expected somebody to take a bigger leap, but when Juju went out, but it kind of seems like at least 2 weeks in a row, that's what he's been doing after the bye week. So he's probably right at that 20 mark. Claypool, though, hasn't really picked up in the way we kind of expected him to after Juju went out.
Yeah, it's really been Deontay Johnson only. I still think Claypool's quite talented. It's just, maybe this is just a one. They can only support one receiver.
Yeah, I mean, when they have a stud running back and a quarterback that's not playing very well.
Yeah, I mean, again, they may win. They may put up points, but it seems like it goes through Harris. I was thinking where Harris is rest of season. So he's been top 10 every week since week 1. Week 1's the only week he hasn't been. I was like, is he number 2 or 3? So number 1 is either Dalvin or Jonathan Taylor. And I think a lot of people, based on what he's done and Dalvin not doing well, I think a lot of people would put Jonathan Taylor as 1. But I think those are 1 and 2, I think. But then when
I think McCaffrey's still there.
Okay, then you have McCaffrey, and McCaffrey, Eckler, Harris. I think they're all kind of Kamara, obviously. But I think you could make the case that Harris could be running back. You could even honestly make the case for 1 if you really... you can't put him over Jonathan Taylor, I don't think, because he's just been better. No. But you could maybe make the case for 2 or 3 because his production has been there. I mean, he's been top 10.
I'd probably put him at 3.
Every single week besides week 1, and he's only behind Henry, Taylor, and I want to say McCaffrey on points per game, or maybe Eckler. But yeah, he's right there with those guys. So Henry was obviously way ahead of everybody else. Besides that, and Taylor's been incredible. But yeah, so he's really good. Johnson, obviously, if you have him, you're starting him. And Claypool, I know he hasn't been great, but I think there's a decent chance you got to play him if you have him on your team. I mean, it obviously depends on where the rest of your guys are.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're not scared of the
team,
Lions.
I don't know.
You're not scared of the Lions. This matchup, you can't really ask for a better matchup. So if you're gonna play him, I guess this is the week. I would say he's a top 30 wide receiver. But there's obviously a good chance that you have 3 or 4 wide receivers that are above him. So just depends on how your team is looking, and there's a good chance you don't. So it really depends on the size of the league. 10-team league, you probably can get away with not 12-team. I think there's probably starting him, and then it depends. And then larger leagues, like I don't think you can get away from him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Fairmouth, we talked about at the top, had another great day. I mean, that's 2 top 3 in a row.
And 3
He
top
was
10s. So yeah, he's
top 10, 4 top 10s on the season, week 3, and then But here's the thing: is once he seems to be the guy that when Shiju went out actually really picked up his game. So it could be that Ben's looking for him a little bit more, but he's like working his way into a guy where if you weren't rolling with a tight end you really liked, you might be able to roll with him for the rest of the season.
I
At
think
least what he's on right now.
Yeah, I mean, as of now, you got to start. I mean, you're not starting him.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's a borderline top 10 guy. So yeah, pull him out there.
Yep. All right. Next up, Jags Colts. Trevor Lawrence, not a great week for him. Got a little banged up toward the end, but that really wasn't the big issue. He wasn't playing well, which was unfortunate because with Tom Brady on a bye, was a guy I had to start, so didn't help me out too much. Hyde didn't do much, being the guy. Just not a whole lot in this last game. We've talked about their schedule going forward. We kind of like it. We think that better things are probably yet to come, but at the same time, like at a certain point, Lawrence is going to have to step up and make most of those things happen. So we're getting to the point where I'm starting to wonder if the schedule being good isn't just being outweighed by the quarterback play right now.
Yeah, Lawrence hasn't been good. I think the turmoil, this offense, the whole team, with the urban stuff. I think maybe I mean, obviously they won this game, so against Buffalo, a real amazing 9-6 game there. If this is the game that I feel like is really important, it's not like Trevor Lawrence isn't going to start every game, but like this game is really important for fantasy owners to know: can I play any Jacksonville Jaguar? This is the game. Like, if they don't do it this game, I feel like you're done for the season for me. Besides Robinson, so Arnold, I do think at tight end is probably a decent start. Seems like he's the last 2 weeks. I think it seems like that's a thing. So he looks to be a nice solid top 10, top 15 guy. But outside of that, in Robinson,
and he's gonna be back this week. So.
I like I feel like the wide receivers, like there could be some. I still think Marvin Jones is a really talented receiver, but it's just like if Lawrence only throws for 100 yards in a game and half of that goes to Arnold, there's just nothing left. So, and obviously he didn't score a touchdown this game either. So I'm gonna cross my fingers. I think he's gonna have a good game this week. I'm seeing if I can bring it in. I know, Trevor, you're watching. Just don't make me look foolish, all right? And also thank you for the view. Thank you for liking and subscribing as well, Trevor Lawrence. I really do appreciate that.
Seems like a bold proclamation, but proceed. But that I mean, I hope he does well. I don't really care anymore because now Brady's back for the season, so I don't ever have to start him again.
The Colts are a 10.5 point favorite in this game. That seems a little high, but I guess they're just thinking that Jonathan Taylor is going to absolutely destroy this team. And,
I mean
Taylor's playing well. Wentz is playing well. They're only 4-5. The Colts, like, I feel like they're a better team than that, like, because their offense seems like it's Pittman. Obviously, like they have so much talent, but this is a defense I think they should move the ball on. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. That makes a little bit of sense to me. I mean, that makes them like a 7.5 point favorite plus the home field. I kind of get it. It's a little high, but it doesn't seem crazy to me. But on the Colts side of the ball, Wentz continues to look really good. I mean, he's gone from, I think at the beginning of the season, I know I said this, he's a serviceable NFL quarterback. Like, he's not going to hurt the other players on the team for you. I mean, he's now in consideration to be started in a lot of leagues. I mean, he's been top 10 the last 3 weeks, 10, 11, 5. So I guess not technically top 10, but number 5 last week, playing really well. And that has really showed in what Pittman's been able to do these last 3 weeks, 8-2-12. Like, Pittman's been on fire, has made himself a lockdown every week starter. So, I mean, you've got 2 guys on this team that are in Taylor, obviously, and then Pittman that are just lock in every week, good to go, no worries, guys.
Yeah, and even kind of undersold once past 5 weeks. He's the lowest he's been is top 13. So like
Yeah.
he's been really consistent. After really week 3. I mean, he was week 4. He was 17, so solid. Like he's been really good. Like the offensive line is pretty good in Indianapolis. Obviously, the run game. Anytime you have a really good run game, that's always going to help.
Well,
as
it helps
well.
because they have to really focus on trying to stop Taylor, and it opens up some stuff for him.
Yeah, so Jonathan Taylor is, to me, clearly running back 1 this week. I would play him over every single. If I had to pick, if I was only playing one running back, I would play him. Obviously, you could make arguments for Harris and McCaffrey, but he's number 1 for me. Hines, we did talk about. I think he might be top 30. A nice, if you need to play him, if he's it's like a running back 2 with buys. If you're missing Mixon or Montgomery or whoever, obviously, usually every starting running back is owned. So, like, if you need to play a running back, if you're out, Hines is, like, we talked about it, like, he's not a terrible play. I think he could be really good. Outside of Pittman, I guess Pascal would be a deeper league play. It's fine. I think he sees the field, and Wentz has been really solid, and obviously you're not scared of the Jags. The Jags defense played really well. I say that, but
I was going to say you're...
Maybe this won't be a great day for the pass offense, but Pascal, I guess, would be, somewhat. I mean, obviously a much deeper league.
Yeah,
probably
I think you've got to be in a deeper league to get him going.
Even Hilton might be back as well, so Hilton's probably number 2 if he's back. So Hilton's back, he might be top 40, top 45. He's the number 2 option if he's back, and then Pascal would be behind. If Hilton doesn't go, then just replace him with Pascal and. If you have to.
Hilton, I can't see myself putting Hilton in a lineup. Like, you're going to get what, a quarter and a half out of him tops?
I hope not.
Like,
I
hope not too, but at a certain point, you just got to accept things. So, all right, next one up, Buccaneers and football team, Washington football team. I really wish they just figure that out. Drives me nuts every week. Coming off a bye, so some nice rest for the Buccaneers players. I mean, continues just to have a plethora of people that you're putting out there. Brady obviously has been the number 1 guy. Only had 1 week. Week 4 he was 24, but other than that, just great weeks across the board. Week 6, 12 is like, I mean, I'm sorry, he had 1 week where he was 12, but other than that, he's just been on fire. Fournette has made himself pretty much a must start in every league. I mean, if you're not starting Fournette and he's on your team, you're in a very, very good position. Just because, I mean, he's 17 on the year, but a lot of if you go through, he's had a couple of lower 30 weeks, but also a lot of top 15, top 10 weeks in there. So, and then honestly, Godwin, Evans, Brown, they're all. I think if I remember, Antonio Brown should be back after the bye. I think he's good to go. So, all 3 guys that. Honestly, one of them is probably going to have a bad day, but nobody knows which one, and you kind of have to start all 3 of them.
And they very well may all 3 have good days, but yeah, you definitely can't not start him. If Antonio goes, he's probably like top 20. Obviously, Godwin and Evans probably top 10 guys, and maybe you could even make the case that I'm low on Brown because he's been sensational pretty much every week that he's suited up. But yeah, and Gronk, if he goes, you'll probably start him, I guess, if you have him. So
yeah, I'm trying to look that up real quick because I don't remember.
I think he's gonna go. At least that's the plan. So, and Fournette, like you said, he's like a top 20 guy. So there's a shot that you're not playing him. You could have 2, top 15 guys.
Yeah,
I think that's possible for sure. Actually,
if you're not playing him, congratulations, you got some good.
It's definitely could happen, and yeah, Brady.
It looks like both Brown and Gronk are kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
So if you got those guys, just keep it on. And I think if either one of them plays, you pretty much have to play them.
Yeah, and yeah, Brady is Brady. Second, I think the right in the running right now for MVP, which is wild at his age. And it doesn't make any sense. I'm so confused, but he's been incredible. Currently, quarterback 1 on a points per game basis. So pretty wild.
Yeah, it makes no sense, but I'm going to continue to take advantage of it. Washington football team. Heineke is in that he is a serviceable NFL quarterback. He's not a guy you want for fantasy, but he's also not hurting. He's not super hurting anybody around him. But really, it comes down to the running backs. In most leagues, I bet both of them are getting started on a weekly basis. And then McLaurin, and then honestly, Logan Thomas should be back. If he's not back, then Seals Jones is still put him in, but whichever tight end is playing.
Yeah, McKissick is like top 30. Obviously, Antonio Gibson, you play him as well. But yeah, I'm trying to see where even I guess they actually have Antonio Gibson and McKissick pretty much ranked, which kind of makes sense because if you look at the last
Gibson is
snaps,
underperformed for what he was drafted.
Snap count, like McKissick had quite a lot there. Gibson maybe got banged up, or maybe it just went McKissick a lot in the game. But McKissick is
it was a couple weeks ago, but I think he did get a little banged.
Yeah, McKissick 8 for 83 in the last game we've seen him. So he finished as running back 15 back in week 8. So yeah, I think there's a good chance you're playing him and Gibson as well. Obviously, one of them probably won't have a great week, but you still got to roll him out there. McLaurin is the only wide receiver you even remotely want to touch. And obviously, if you have him, you're rocking McLaurin. He's very good. And I will say with Heineke, I know you said like I put him in like the Bucs don't have a great pass defense. I put him in like the Trevor Lawrence, Tannehill territory this week. Like if you're in that spot, you have to play like in that like quarterback 17, 18, 19, 20, and that's like your best bet. Like I don't hate Heineke this week if that's what you're talking. Like if you're in that like he's my 16th or 17th best quarterback, and I'm in a 12-team league, and everybody owns 2 quarterbacks, and my quarterback is on bye, and I don't have another quarterback. Like, there might be a chance that this is the guy you have to roll out there. Whether you could go with him or Lawrence or Big Roethlisberger or Tannehill or somebody. Like, you just got like I personally would probably put Heineke at the top of that with Lawrence right there as well. But that's a tough call. Not a great call. Not one that you really love. But if you're
in that situation, I'm sorry. That's unfortunate.
Hopefully the rest of your team is good.
Yeah, I actually feel bad for you. Because that also means you're probably starting, like, if your quarterback is out, that means your quarterback is probably Joe Burrow. So the rest of your team better be stacked. Because, not a great situation to be in. Next up, we got the Bill Belichick revenge game. I don't know why I just thought of that. It seemed funny in my head. Browns at Patriots. Browns got some news today. Got some news yesterday. I'm going to pretend like we're in the same day. No, we're recording this on Tuesday. Browns got some news. Running back room decimated by positive COVID test. It appears D'Ernest Johnson will be the only one available on Sunday, barring something crazy, because all the guys are vaccinated, so they would just need 2 negative tests. But they don't seem like they're probably false positives, like you said in pre-show, just because everybody got it.
Yeah. So D'Ernest Johnson, if he's available, if your time like pick him up, like he should.
There's a good chance people drop him.
He's probably so we talked about Fournette. I was probably a little low. I was thinking about it, but Fournette going against Washington, he's in that territory. He's probably like a top 15 guy. So, well, he's definitely, I think, a top 15 guy, Fournette as well. So he's in that territory with, unless you have something like, I'm trying to think. I guess you could have like Cordero Patterson, like you could have Patterson and like Najee. Oh, actually, you could have Patterson and then your top running backs. Then you may not be playing Fournette or playing D'Ernest Johnson, but you still should pick him up if you can, because then somebody else can play him and he's going to be a really good play. But also, if you have a flex, like you're picking up a top 12, top 15 guy. There's a good chance you could put him there as well. So. He's I probably put him at like running back. I'm looking at the rankings right now. I probably put him at like running back 12 or 13.
Yeah, and we've seen what he can do when he's the guy.
So, I really like him. Pick him up if he's available, for sure. And then wide receivers, if you're in a pinch, Donovan Peoples-Jones, I guess as a dice roll, just go with, if you're like I'm gonna start one, I'm gonna go with it. I guess.
Yeah, if you have to. He only had 2 catches. He had one really long.
Yeah, it's just he's the big play guy, and I think Jarvis.
It was a very nice pass.
Jarvis,
I remember that pass.
Yeah, it just doesn't have any upside to me. Like he'll probably Jarvis will maybe get some more catches. It's not like he's been great by any stretch, but and he's probably safer, I guess. But Donovan Peoples-Jones, 2 for 86 and a touchdown. Obviously that doesn't seem repeatable. That seems kind of but. I think he's the best receiving option if there's
if you're forced to start a Browns wide receiver, it's Peoples-Jones, but hopefully that'd be a weird league. All right, Patriots side of the ball. Quarterback is irrelevant. Harris is a decent play. Like, you're not ecstatic about playing him, but depending on league size and that kind of stuff, he is very possibly a guy you have to put out there. Wide receivers, Myers is another one of those guys. Like, you kind of hope you don't have to play him, but if you're in that pinch, and then Hunter is a fringe tight end if you're streaming. Like, there's just nothing exciting.
I don't know why you're so low. I feel like you always say this, like Damian Harris. Like, if you're forced to play him, like
I'm not super excited about him. I'm
week
sorry.
6, running back 14. Week 7, running back 3. Week 8,
Okay.
running back 21. Week 9, running back 31.
I'm not excited about Harris. I've made this clear.
I'd say he's a top 25 guy. But yeah, the thing with Belichick and with this offense is like
I think you're too excited about top 25 guys. If you're in a 12-team league, which is the kind of the standard league, and you're starting 2 running backs, he's not a starter. I'm not crazy here.
I mean, I guess it could be it's either a flex or maybe he's not. But I'm just saying,
who's starting running backs their flex? Where's the fun in that?
He could be a starter, but not everybody is gonna have. There's 24. You have every team. It's unlikely that every team has 2 running backs in the top 24 in a 12-team league.
I didn't say drop him. I said you're not excited about him.
Anyways, Ramondre Stevenson, I talked about before. I'm high on him. I like him, but the problem is same with Bolden. Damon Harris has been solid, but I don't know who's going to get the touches in these games. It's Bill Belichick. They all seem to have good days some days, and I feel like obviously Damon Harris is the guy I would play. Outside of that, Brandon Bolden, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know. I'd rather rock with Jamal Williams or a Jeremy McNichols at that point than try to figure out who the second running back is. At least I know with McNichols, like, he's probably going to get 50% of the snaps. I have no idea with this team.
Yeah. I'm just.
But I will say the upside of these guys. It seems like they always have running backs like really, top 20 guys. I just don't know which one it's going to be.
No. So, next up,
that game is a complete coin flip. So New England against Cleveland, I thought I'm not really surprised, I guess, but in New England, but
I'm a little bit surprised that it didn't move with the running back news, but maybe it just they haven't adjusted well enough. Yeah. But yeah, I can see that. Or maybe that is adjusted. Maybe the Browns were.
New England is, they might have been favored. I'm not sure. New England is currently a 1.5 favorite.
Yeah. All right. Falcons, Cowboys. Matt Ryan has another great week. Number 3 quarterback. He's had some really bad weeks. So he's only 16 overall in the season. But this is his 3rd top 10 week of the season. Had another 15 in there. So has had some solid weeks, which is good. Probably not a guy you're throwing out there every week, but it's good for the rest of the team. Cordero Patterson continues to be a stud. Number 7 is currently at number 6 in the running back rankings. We talked about it yesterday. Zacharias was number 4. We're not buying any hype on him whatsoever. This was a complete fluke. 2 touchdowns on 3 catches. Gage and Sharp are still better than him, but still not guys you're probably putting out there if you can avoid it. And Pitts, a couple of lackluster games in a row, but still, I think one of the top tight ends and a guy you have to roll it out there just for the upside.
Yeah, he's definitely a top 5 guy. I'm trying to think now with Kittle being back. Kittle, Andrews, Kelsey, Hawkinson, Pitts. Am I missing anybody? He's right there. So obviously Kelsey is in Kittle, I guess, healthy. I think there is probably we'll see with Kittle, but Kelsey is clearly one, and then I don't know. Hawkinson, he's borderline. He's right there.
Yeah, he's in that discussion.
He's in that group, but yeah, Pitts is still really good. Don't worry. And then this offense has been playing a lot better. Matt Ryan is looking good. I don't want to act like I'm excited about it because I think he's like quarterback 15-ish, and I don't want to get excited because how many people are playing the 15th best quarterback, and I know you don't like it when I get excited, but I would say he's somewhere in there. He's been
You're the
really
one who got mad at me for. Okay, so no. You could have to start him. So now you have to pretend he's the best. So you just did to me.
Matt Ryan. I think against Dallas, you definitely don't mind that after what Teddy Bridgewater and the Denver Broncos did to Dallas, beat them down. I'm actually pretty surprised. I really like talking betting stuff. Dallas is a 9-point favorite, and that seems like a lot. But maybe I guess they're just expecting Dallas to bounce back quite well, and they're thinking, they're America's team, and they're going to put the money on it. And I don't know. That seems like a lot
of that is based
points.
on what they're trying to get bets.
They're trying to obviously they're hedging their bets. They don't necessarily make the line what they think is going to happen. They do it based on what they think people are going to bet. I feel like 9 points is quite a bit. This is one of my favorite lines, maybe the very favorite line of the week. Atlanta with the 9 points. Anyways, Mike Davis.
Been betting corner with Butler.
Mike Davis is not doing much, and
he's not.
He has been like top 30 almost every week this week, or this year outside of this past week when he did nothing, or this past week 9. But week 7, basically outside of that, week 7 and week 9, he's been top 30. So there's a chance he might have to roll him out there. A chance. I'm just saying there's a chance. He's probably like a 30, running back 30-ish, 35, somewhere in there. So again, another guy that I would not blame you if you rock with somebody like Jeremy McNichols as just pure upside over Mike Davis, because Mike Davis's upside is running back 25, and he's probably going to be somewhere around there. McNichols could be a top 10 guy based on how that goes. So, that's kind of where I think he is.
I'm not going to point out the fact that you just said Mike Davis is probably a top 30 guy, and he's a maybe, but you got aggressively angry at me for Harris, who's like at 26 on the season, for saying you might not want to start him. Not going to point that out. That's
Damian Harris has way more upside. Just saying, there's guys like Mike Davis is running back 30 every single week, basically. Damian Harris is up and all over the place, but he could be up, he might be down. But I like him more because I like upside guys. I want to score 250 points. All right, I want to blow my opponent out. Mike Davis.
You're doing that with
Mike Davis.
You're doing that with Damian Harris. You're doing that with Damian Harris. Really?
He has had some big weeks.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Wait. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Week 7, he was running back 3. All right.
Congratulations.
That is a good week. There's only 2 guys over him.
Josh Johnson was quarterback 4 this week. Are you super excited about his upside?
No, because Josh Johnson's not even starting. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's move on.
We have gone off the rails. We're apparently like halfway in the season. We're just out of it. So on the Cowboys side of the ball, I mean, it's the normal players: Prescott, Elliott, Lamb, and Cooper did not have good days. The game was just not fantastic. Schultz was down. You're still starting all those guys. You're still starting Prescott, Elliott, Lamb, Cooper, and honestly Schultz in most leagues.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bad game, but
yeah, this is a really bad game. Really one of maybe the most shocking. The Broncos. I know there's a lot of shocking. Bills losing, and there's some other ones. Vegas losing to the Giants. I'm not really as surprised with that, but like you see this game 30-0 at one point. It was a complete blowout. Michael Gallup looks like he might be back this week. So that doesn't mean much fantasy. I don't think you would start him. But name again, especially in deeper leagues that you might want to, you'll be, especially with buys, this could be somebody that could sneak into your lineup. But outside of that, yeah, it's not. Tony Pollard, another name, I guess, and he's kind of in that, that second running back that could have some value, getting 30 to 40% of the snaps.
Yep. All right, Panthers, Cardinals. Darnold, after he made us all believe early in the season, has been aggressively terrible.
He is out this week.
Is he out this week?
Yeah.
I mean, he's also.
I think he's maybe terrible. Out for this season as well. It's a pretty serious injury, I think. So. I
just completely missed that. So.
PJ Walker, I think, is the backup, and he'll be starting for the foreseeable future.
Well, that's good. One guy that shouldn't affect McCaffrey came back, was 15 on this week. Only had 49% of the snaps. Like, obviously, they weren't ready to go. But when he got the ball, he had some really good plays this week. So, obviously, if McCaffrey's out there, you're starting him. And honestly, I think he'll be fine. he'll be back to where you expect him to be after this week. I think they were just kind of protecting him a little bit this week. DJ Moore, even with the quarterback change that I definitely didn't just learn about, is still a guy you're probably putting out there every week, but maybe temper expectations. But honestly, hasn't been fantastic the last couple weeks with Darnold. So I don't know that the quarterback play is going to get much worse than Darnold's been doing the last couple weeks.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've seen people saying, "Oh, this is good news for fantasy for your Carolina Panthers offense." Darnold was the starter, right? Like, it's not like they like.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that PJ Walker's not going to come in here and be like, "Oh wow, I'm glad I now DJ Moore's got a lot more value."
It
DJ
could be
Moore
a Jets situation. You don't know.
Yeah, DJ Moore is still probably a top 20 guy, but yeah, it's just he hasn't been that lately. It's still a stud though. When I watch him, I always am impressed. So I know he's a super talented guy, and I can spot talent. So just trust me on that. Christian McCaffrey, he's really good, and that's about it. That's about all we care about here. Robbie Anderson, if you still somehow own him, you shouldn't. Why do you own him? He is not involved at all.
I do want to point out, like, he's not involved, but somehow he's super involved. Like, I don't usually glance at the snap counts because that's kind of your domain. I let you have it. But 92% of the snaps, you just can't do anything with them.
He did try to run down. He wasn't successful. Try to run down on a pick six that Darnold threw. He did. He put the effort in, and I'm not gonna lie. I like that. I like seeing the effort. He ran all the way. He wasn't gonna catch him, but he ran all the way, and then he dove trying to. He wasn't catching him.
So if you get points for effort,
yeah. If that's in your fantasy league, cool. That's a cool league.
All right. Cardinals side of the ball. No Kyler this week. Honestly, Colt McCoy held it down decently. He was the 13th best quarterback. So if I would have started him over Trevor Lawrence, I would have been in better shape. But yeah, I mean, obviously Kyler as soon as he's back, which I think this was a 1 week thing, if I remember correctly.
I think he'll be back.
Is an insta start. Edmonds also didn't play, which opened it up for Connor. We've talked about this. If somebody went down between Edmonds and Connor, that other guy could be great, and that's exactly what
actually
happened.
The way it worked, it actually is. Connor has way more upside because Connor was the goal line work a lot of times. So like Edmonds going down, the guy who came up next might take the goal line work still. I mean, it still may not be Edmonds. In this case, Connor was already the goal line work, and now he's also doing some other work, obviously. Benjamin, much deeper league ad. He's the next guy in line, had a touchdown this game. But yeah, it's the Connor show, and he's a top guy this week. So he's a top 10 guy, I think, and should be top 10 pretty much all rest of the year as long as Edmonds is out. Kirk did well with, he didn't get a touchdown, but he did well with what he had. Hopkins didn't play, AJ Green didn't play, so you're not probably starting Kirk pretty much but again, and a guy that's kind of in that mix of wide receivers that you may want to.
I feel like we haven't. There's been weeks where we just didn't talk about him, but he's been quietly a guy that could be starting on teams depending on the size of the league and how your team's made up. Like, he's been a top 30 guy overall in the season. I feel like even like AJ Green has got more shine than him because AJ Green's had some big games, and I think it's more just surprise. But I think Kirk has quietly been better than maybe even we've been giving him credit for.
Yeah, he's been solid. So a name again, a much deeper league, you would probably play him if you're forced to play him. But D Hop is the only one you feel pretty good about for receiving, and Zach Ertz, I guess, is fine if you want to roll. What are you supposed to say? It's a tight end.
He's the definition of fine. Like, if you put him out there, you put him out there. Vikings Chargers. My man Kirk Cousins. I don't know when he became my man. It just kind of happened after we did a top 10 list. But another top 10 week. Currently sitting at that number 10 spot. He's keeping me. I think I actually put him at 8, but he's keeping me in the running. So another good day. Cook came back from his poor performance in week 8, back in that 13 slot. Obviously, you want him to be higher than that, but at least he's heading in the right direction.
So this is fine. And he actually had a touchdown that was overturned. It wasn't a touchdown. It wasn't a bad call or anything, but he could have easily been higher.
Yeah. I will say with the wide receivers, like Jefferson was significantly higher than everybody else, but Jefferson had a long touchdown that was most of what he did. So overall, like Jefferson, you got the points, take them. It all counts. But overall, just not a great day for the wide receivers because
I think this is. I mean, Cousins only threw for 187 yards. The reason why he was top 10 was because he had that rushing touchdown that Cook did not get. So they overturned him, and Cousins ran it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think Jefferson, Thielen, obviously are rolling out there. And
And deeper
Conklin
leagues
is in that
Osborne,
same breath, I guess he could play.
Exactly. On the Chargers side, Herbert, heck of a week. Just exactly what you expect pretty much on a weekly basis from him. Eckler didn't have a great day. Still a stud, just not his day. Allen had a great day. Williams didn't have a great day, but those are both guys you're starting every week. And Cook is kind of in that. There's a lot of guys in that group of tight ends. Like Cook's one of those guys who's just kind of sure if you need a tight end, there's worse choices out there.
Yep, he's in that, and maybe I'd probably put him at the top of the guys we just talked about. But yeah. He's right there. But Allen, good to see that. He's clearly the number one on this team, and it will eventually flip. It's already started where Allen is currently not. He's a little bit below Mike Williams for the year, but
he's heading
flip. And Mike Williams, you probably, even with the last 3 weeks not being great. He's got such big play potential. You're probably moving him out there. You might have better options. He's like a top 20-ish guy, so he's probably a guy you play. Eckler's a stud, currently running back 3 on the year. So, and that's with Henry being out. So yeah, you can make the case that he's right there with the best guys, with the Cooks and the Harris and all of them. Like he's. I personally think Jonathan Taylor is number 1, and then there's a difference, but he's right there. That now that Henry went out, there's kind of a. All of these guys are, they like 5 or 6 guys are kind of all up there. You can make a case for.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry about that. Yeah. And then on the other side with Seahawks, we've got. Sorry, I got confused on which game was. Was this a new game?
This is a new game. Seattle against Green Bay.
I need to put bigger stops in there, and then I had a weird I thought I was going to cough again. I just got confused. I'm not very smart, people. I'm sorry. But so with Seahawks, they're playing the Packers. Looks like Russell should be back this week, which is fantastic for both Lockett and Metcalf. I say that they had very nice weeks in week 8, but you feel better about putting them out there with Russell out there. You just do. Metcalf was probably getting started anyways. Lockett was in that questionable range for me with Geno out there. And by questionable, I mean I was trying to not start him, which hurt me in week 8. But those two guys are absolutes. As if Russell's playing, he's an absolute. I'm trying to remember. We talked about this yesterday. Is Carson? We talked about a bunch of. Is he still
out?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, Rodgers and Russell Wilson both borderline top 10 guys. So on the bottom part of that, but yeah, and Lockett, I didn't play him as well, and he had 5 straight weeks outside the top 35. You can't at that point, you can't him.
Yeah, I mean, what was I gonna do? We knew it was a possibility.
It obviously was a silly thing, but you can't know that top 5 weeks. That does happen, but it makes you feel a lot better about going into week 10 here. And I haven't. Chris Carson, it does look like he is going to play. So I was wrong. Yeah. So Chris Carson looks like he is coming back and he will play. Another guy in that top 20. Good chance you are starting him if you have him. So he's back, and you're not necessarily scared of the Green Bay. I mean, they played well against Kansas City, so another defense maybe is not as. Maybe I should give them more credit, but I feel like, or did I say against Kansas City? I meant Green Bay. They played Kansas City. I said Green Bay, the Packers defense against Green Bay. I think that's what they said. Good job, buddy.
We're having a lot of trouble with this game. For some reason, this game just threw us off.
But yeah, Lockett, Metcalf, you're starting. Wilson, you're starting. Carson, you're starting probably. Lockett and Carson are probably both top 20 guys. So you might have better, but they're right there.
If you're in a good spot, you don't have to, but most people are. And then on the Packers side, Rodgers back. Obviously, you're excited about that if you're an Adams owner. The running back situation was weird last week. I wouldn't look too much into it. It's, I don't know. That happens sometimes.
Aaron Jones has definitely fallen off. He is not what he was. Not that he's fallen off talent-wise. I can't say that necessarily, even though I'm great at spotting talent, like I said. I don't know about that, but AJ Dillon has clearly taken out carved a role in this offense. So you definitely have to say Aaron Jones is probably, he was currently drafted at running back 6. He's on the fringe top 10. He's definitely right there. He's fallen off a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but I think
Obviously, it's still
I'll take a
starting.
fringe top 10 guy, yeah.
And
then
AJ
Adams,
Dillon, you is like right there with the Adrian Petersons of the world, Jordan Howard.
yeah.
Sort of.
You're hoping for upside. You're hoping he gets in the end zone.
Yeah.
He's kind of like that's what you're looking at. Wide receiver wise, Adams is the only one you feel great about. Valdez Scantling, if he's back. So I know he was on the fringe last week, so he might be coming back this week. Maybe in a deeper league, but honestly, it's Jones and Adams, and then honestly, it's weird to say about Rodgers, but probably a guy you're still running out there. But we've talked about this, not a top 10 guy in the year, so he's creeping his way up from when we did that list, because I think he was at like 15 or 16 when we did that list, so he's creeping his way up a little bit, but.
Yeah, and this I'm really excited about this game. It's a 3-point line right now. Green Bay's favored. I think this is going to be a great game. I'm super excited. Russell versus Aaron Rodgers. I think this is a 425 game. Your other options are you have the Vikings Chargers. I think will also be a good game. And the Eagles Broncos. Not as excited about that game, but we'll talk about it anyway because that's what's next.
Yeah, we talk about every game. You don't just get to skip games because you don't care. Yeah, Eagles Broncos, like you said. Hurts has another like borderline top 10 day. Ended up at 12. We've talked about him. Has just been solid all season, other than week 8 when he was the 25th. I mean, this is his worst week other than the 25. So if your worst week is 12, you'll take that. So running back, until Sanders is back, it looks like Howard is the guy you probably want. But then Scott had a good day in week 8, so it's kind of a mess. But Howard is probably the guy if you have to.
For sure.
And then Smith had a great day. Still, in my opinion, a guy that you're hoping you have better options. But if you don't, you can put him out there and feel okay about it. We talked a decent amount, even at the beginning of the show, about the Eagles. But really, Hurts is the only guy you're like, absolutely, if you've got him. And then Howard and Smith, in my opinion, are guys that you can if you're in a pinch or you have to.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think Howard is borderline top 30, and I would say Smith as well. So I think that's kind of where they are. And Hurts, obviously, you're rolling with him. His rushing is what makes him valuable. He's not a great passer. We've talked, so like he's got the rushing, and that will continue to put him in top 10 pretty much every week. So he's currently quarterback 6 on the year. So doesn't mean your wide receivers are valuable, but he with that rushing is always going to be up there.
And on the other side of the ball, we got the Broncos. Teddy had a nice day. He's still not a guy that I think you want out there. Melvin Gordon had a nice day. He is a guy that I think in most leagues is, I don't know, he's one of those guys you're as at the end of what you're hoping your running back 2 is. And possibly even if you drafted well or had some guys pop off, you don't have to play. We've talked a lot about these wide receivers and how we really like their talent. And Patrick had a nice day, and Judy looked good in his after his comeback game. Looked a little bit more what we expected at 21. I mean, I think Judy's probably the guy you want going forward. Where do you stand on the wide receiver situation there in Denver?
Yeah, I think it's clearly to me it's clearly not. Judy and Sutton I think are pretty close, even though Patrick's coming off of a really solid game. I think it's Judy and Sutton, and I think you could flip a coin almost. I'm probably gonna go Judy, but every time I watch Sutton, he just looks great. Judy does too as well. So those are to me like coin flip, and then I think there is a decent gap to Patrick, even though Patrick had a nice day, and I really like Patrick. I think you probably can find better options than Patrick. I think there's a good chance if you have Sutton or Judy on your team, you're rolling them out there. They're kind of in that same. I think I like them more than Devontae Smith. They're a little bit higher than him. They're kind of in the Chase Claypool territory, or you could even say the Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders territory. I think they're right there.
I think that's fair.
So
we've said it many times. I think we both wish that they just had a better quarterback, because there's a lot of talent in that wide receiver room, and it feels like it's being severely underutilized.
Yeah, so we'll see. Again, I think I like Jerry Judy. I think one of these guys will have a big game or a really nice game. I just I don't know which one.
Yeah. And then Fant should be back this week, and he's I don't want to say like a guarantee, but I feel like you're probably starting Fant if you have him.
Yeah.
And then the Chiefs, Mahomes, another like barely inside the top 20 week. Obviously, something's going on. He's definitely not playing up to where you wanted him. I mean, it's Mahomes. You're still putting him out there. Like, I just don't see a situation where you don't, and it stinks because you're not getting the production. And maybe if this continues, there's a spot, but I just can't imagine a situation where you can, because he can pop off and be just a stud. So, I guess maybe if somehow you ended up with, there's just no situation where you end up with him and one of the top guys. So, and at the running back though, right now, I think you're just not playing a running back until Edwards-Helaire's back.
I mean, I think Darrell Williams is a really, honestly, I like Darrell Williams. I think he's
Really?
right there with Chris Carson at top 20 breath. I think he's clearly the guy in this offense. I would not be surprised. I mean, he had 19 carries. Like, he's the guy. Like, there's no doubt
I
about
agree
it.
with that. I agree with he's the guy.
And I think he could have a really nice week this week. So I'm actually pretty high on him this week, and I think if you have him and Chris Carson and I can't Melvin Gordon, will say, like, you have those, like you not probably have all of them, but that's the territory they're in, and I might go with Darrell Williams. I think it's close. It would be between him and Chris Carson. I think Melvin's a slightly lower for me, but I would say I might go Darrell Williams in that. I think
I'd rather start both those guys confidently over Williams, but
that's wrong, but that's okay.
We'll see if it's wrong. And then Tyreek didn't have a good game, but you're throwing Tyreek out there, and Kelsey is obviously continues to be a stud. Other than a couple weeks, it's just been lights out. And then we've got the Rams. Stafford, not his best day, still top 10 on the season. Henderson, not a good day.
Did not talk about the Raiders, and the Raiders are facing the Chiefs. So
did I mess up the order? That's on me.
Okay, I just fixed it. I was like, I don't think the Chiefs are playing. Yeah, the Chiefs are playing the Raiders, so it's fixed now. So the Raiders, Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, Darren Waller.
That's it.
Maybe Hunter Renfrow. He's been solid. That's
fair enough,
right? That's pretty much it. I really like Kenyon Drake. Has been really, really good. I mean, I don't know if it can continue, but I mean, he's been really good. I think he's somebody you could definitely roll out there and feel solid. I mean, not great about it, because I still think he doesn't see the feel. He's definitely the number 2 there, but I mean, upside. You never. I don't think he's a terrible play if you're looking for a looking for something like a running back 2 in a deeper league, or may just be a running back 2 depending on your buys or your rest of your league.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think these are both guys that you feel, at least over the last few weeks, you feel pretty good about putting both of them out there. We have enough, like, we have 3 weeks in a row where they've both been very serviceable, if not good running backs. Like, at a certain point, you have to be like, oh, this is going to fall off. Well, maybe not. Maybe this is how they're going to run that team. And when there's not a huge passing game involved, like we've seen teams like the Browns, who all their value is in the running game, and maybe that's just one of these. And then you have Waller, who's taking all the catches. So
yeah, I still think, like, clearly it's Jacobs. He's like a top 15 guy. And then Drake, I think 25. I mean, just because there's way more risk to it, but obviously he's shown he has crazy high upside. So if you're looking for a high upside guy, and he's a lower ranked guy that has some of the most upside of those guys. So if you are in that category where you're like, do I start Mike Davis or start Kenyon Drake? I'd probably go with Kenyon Drake, just because I'm like,
starting Drake.
Yeah, like, there's just way more upside there.
Absolutely. All right, now the Rams, because I definitely didn't mess up the order when I was rearranging things earlier. like I said before, not great days. In like with Stafford and Henderson, still guys you're obviously putting out there every week. Just not great days for them. And honestly, not this isn't a versus the 49ers. And not like an easy game, but not a game you're like terrified of. So I think they'll be better this week. Cup, even in it was number 7, which is not 1, which is what we expected from him every week at this point. But managed to do well as Woods. Woods was top 12. Looked pretty good. Higbee hit the top 12. Higbee's another guy that's in that group of tight ends. But so I'm guessing I know what you're going to say here, but how do you feel about like the Stafford and Henderson going forward after a low rent game?
I mean, this was obviously not a good game. Stafford did not play well. He threw virtually 2 pick sixes this game. One wasn't a pick six, but it basically was because they were on like the 2. So yeah, he did not play well. This was a blowout. I kind of am going to treat this kind of as a throwaway game. I mean, obviously Tennessee played really well, and Tennessee has proven me wrong completely. I did not think they were this good, and they continue to look more and more impressive.
Yeah, with Henry out is crazy. Yeah.
But I feel like this is a throwaway game. I think they'll get back to it. Stafford threw it 48 times, threw for 300 yards, got a lot of, I would say, garbage time at the end there. Helped his numbers a lot because it was not pretty for a lot here. Woods was great. Cup was great. Higbee's good. And Henderson is still, a top 15 guy. I will say, we've talked about this a lot. This is one of my favorite things with the Rams. Like, they run 3 wide receivers. You look at the snap counts. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and Stafford, but all 100%. And then Van Jefferson, 96%. They are, and Darrell Henderson was, and then Henderson and Michelle completely 60-40 there. But yeah, and Higbee 97%. They basically run 4 of the 3 wide receivers in their tight end is the same every single play. It's crazy. I don't know if there's any other team I actually don't think there is any other team like that. They don't switch personnel at all except the running back. That's the only person coming in and out. It's like, are we gonna go with Michelle or go with Henderson? Again at 60-40. Outside of that, they don't have to work. They don't have to look at the sideline. They know they're not coming out. They're playing every snap. Probably got to be in shape for that.
Being the 4th is fairly easy. Can you imagine being the 5th wide receiver on the Rams? You're like, I don't have to do anything. Like, I just practice and then I just show up at the games, but I don't really need to be here.
So I like, I definitely like, I think Kupp is clearly wide receiver 1. I mean, he is number 1. Robert Woods is number 15 to 20. He's obviously been a little bit disappointed, but he's starting to come up quite a bit. I think he's he was 19 in week 7, 11 in week 8, 12 in week 9. I think he is like a borderline top 15 guy, exactly kind of way you drafted him. Kupp has been the main surprise there. And then Van Jefferson, if you're in a deeper league or another guy, if you're throwing a dart and you're looking for something, he's in that, I would say he's very similar to Rashad Bateman of the Ravens as guys that have, they could definitely have big games. I don't know. I wouldn't predict it, but if you're looking for,
I mean, he's on the field 96% of the time for a very good offense.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a shot.
If you're like, I'm projected to lose by 40 points this week, and I'm gonna start him or I'm gonna start Julio Jones or something, go with the big guy. Go with Van Jefferson. I feel like
I think I'm starting Van Jefferson in any situation over Julio Jones. But all right, last team of the week. The San Francisco 49ers. Garoppolo had a top 10 day. We've kind of where this quarterback situation is not something we're super interested in. Elijah Mitchell cracks the top 20. Another decent day for him. Samuel was a little bit down from what he's been doing, but that's because Ayuk had a nice day. Ayuk ended up at 9. And Kittle came back and just immediately was Kittle. Like, did not need to build at all. So any worries you had about Kittle going forward, you do not have to be concerned. But I think Kittle, Debo, Elijah Mitchell are starters. Ayuk, maybe if you're in a pinch or a very deep league, you could throw him out there. But I think that's about where this.
Yeah, and Ayuk, I think, is kind of in that Van Jefferson territory, like 35-40, somewhere in that wide receiver. Yeah. And I think
Ayuk is a bigger risk, in my opinion, at least.
I do like seeing this, though. I do think he looked good. I mean, maybe this is the beginning of really really coming into his his play here. I mean, this could be maybe a good run here. But yeah, Elijah Mitchell is a borderline top 15 guy, top 15, top 20, so he's good. You roll him out there. And Debo Kittle is maybe tied in. It's obviously Kelsey is one. I mean, after this week, you probably, because Vegas is playing Kansas City, you're not scared of that. You have him too. But outside of that, like, you look at the other. I mean, so I'm looking at the tight end rankings right now. It's like Kelsey, Waller, Kittle, and then you have Pitts, Andrews, Hawkinson. So you have 6 guys. And yeah, I'm not so sure Kittle's not tight end 2. I mean, you could. I think after Kelsey, it's really like there's like those 5. It's like tier 1.
It's Kelsey, and then there's a tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe you think, because I don't really think Pitts is. I don't know, but either way, Kittle's very good. You play him, and you play those other guys outside of Ayuk. He's the only guy I think that's interesting that you may play. Everybody else you're not playing. You're not playing Garoppolo. You're not playing Hasty, the second running back. You're not playing any other wide receivers. So that's it.
Yep, pretty much. All right, so like we said, Giants, Bengals, Texans, Bears on bye this week. So that is going to do it.
Texans are losing this week. Let's go.
I mean, nice change of pace for you. So that's going to wrap up the preview for Week 10. Crazy that we're that far. If you made it this far in the video, thank you very much. It means a lot to us. And if you haven't subscribed, please do that. We're here 5 days a week. Hit the like button, helps us out a lot. And we just mainly want to thank you for being here. This deep in the season, we've been doing it now for 9 weeks, and that feels really good, and we appreciate everything. So thank you very much, and we'll be back here tomorrow.
Right at like an hour 20 again. We have mastered the timing on this every single time. It's like the same time. I don't know how we do it. How do you talk for that long, 80 minutes in a row, and always be around there? I have no idea. Maybe we're like savants when it comes to keeping the number. I don't know.
Because I can tell you, I aggressively don't pay attention to how much time it is.
But thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to come back tomorrow. Hopefully we have videos all 5 days this week, unlike last week. But that sometimes you get a little unlucky with events that happen. So. But thank you so much for watching. Yeah, subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff does help us out. Have a wonderful week, and good luck in your fantasy matchups. See ya.
See ya.